Hey Marie, how's your thesis going? I know it's due tomorrow.
This actually happened. Obviously, we refilmed it just to capture the moment, but the general concept is true. 24 hours before her thesis, which is arguably the most important project throughout one's college career, 24 hours before it's due, with still multiple pages left to write, my sister's sitting on her bed watching TV. Now, she's not a bad student. In fact, she's a really good one, and I've looked up to her and her work ethic for most of my life. So it's not that she doesn't care, because she does. She knows how much time and effort it will take to finish. But then, what is she doing? The obvious answer is that she's procrastinating, and that's exactly what is happening. And of course, she's not alone. Everyone procrastinates. In fact, a study in 2004 estimated that 95% of college students procrastinate on a regular basis. But why? I dove deeper into the literature about this and found that procrastination is not due to us being lazy or irresponsible, but the result of a psychological component of the mind. Some would say a defense mechanism of sorts. That same research I mentioned before found that we tend to procrastinate more in classes that we do not enjoy or find difficult, something called task aversiveness. But does my sister not enjoy her thesis project? Well, not something that I could stand doing. She really enjoyed her experiment and was very proud of the results. So I wouldn't say that unenjoyment was the reason. What about difficulty? A thesis is a massive project and takes the entire semester. It is not supposed to be easy by any means, but also it's not supposed to be paralyzingly hard. So I think it's fair to attribute its difficulty to part of the reason for procrastination, but it is far from the full story. Fear of failure has also been shown to be a huge cause of procrastination. That sounds incredibly ironic. You are scared of failing, so you put off working on a project, giving yourself less time to complete it, thus making it seem like a bigger task, making yourself more scared of failing. It's an endless cycle until there's no more time for procrastination and you must complete the task. But there has to be a reason why. Sigmund Freud defined defense mechanisms as psychological strategies that are unconsciously used to protect a person from anxiety arising from unacceptable thoughts or feelings. Now that's very interesting. When we are fearful of failing at something, what are we filled with? Anxiety, right? So back to the example of my sister. It's possible that her thesis was causing her great anxiety due to her fear that she would fail at it. And I could tell you that that's definitely the case. But then how does procrastination play a role? It would mean that procrastination lessens our anxiety somehow. But is that even the case? In fact, it is. A study completed in 1989 measured anxiety of high school students a week before, a day before, and a week after they completed their final exams. It was found that procrastination does reduce anxiety at the current moment, but when there is no time left, procrastinators and non-procrastinators do not differ in levels of anxiety. So I've shown that procrastination reduces anxiety, but does that mean it's good? After I walked into my sister's room, should I have confronted her, telling her to go back to writing and saying how much work she has left? It is no coincidence that the vast majority of students procrastinate, and procrastination has been so prevalent for generations. Could it be possible that humans have evolved to procrastinate? Possibly. I don't know. I do know that students today have much busier schedules and face conflicting stressors for countless tasks that must be completed across a vast timeline. It is totally possible that procrastination is the body's unconscious way of forcing the students to only feel the pressure of the tasks that must be completed immediately, allowing them to focus on each task individually and not in the context of everything that must be done. I don't want you to get the impression that I'm saying that all procrastination is beneficial and should be treated as a good thing, but that it may not necessarily be innately bad. Procrastination can be seen as beneficial when a student has a large quantity of work that must be accomplished. If they try to complete the difficult or boring work first, they may become frustrated and more anxious because there's still so much less left to be done. By procrastinating, the student can spend the first part of their time completing the interesting and easy work, leaving them less to do afterwards. Then, when they need to complete the rest, it doesn't seem like such a major task and hopefully leads to less anxiety. However, in some cases, like the one regarding my sister, procrastination doesn't have that beneficial characteristic, since nothing productive was completed during that time. If my sister was procrastinating finishing her thesis by completing a physics problem set, that could be considered helpful. But she was watching TV. So even though her anxiety at the current moment was lowered, that same level of anxiety will resurface whenever she continues her thesis because nothing else productive got done. There are definitely times where procrastination can be helpful, but there are also times where it can be harmful. But the overall lesson that I want you to take out of this is to not be ashamed that you procrastinate or to be afraid to procrastinate. Your body and your unconscious mind knows what needs to happen in order to keep you mentally healthy. So procrastination, while it may need to be monitored, is not something that you can always control, and not something that should be seen as a terrible act of a lazy person.